In my line of work, presenting the highest quality image is key. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Use the offer code Karl to get a 10% discount. I'm Karl Taylor, and this is my Squarespace. Just down at this lovely location here, looking for a nice seascape or a detail area of a seascape. I found a couple of shots that I think will work out well. And what I want to talk to you about is a few tips that are useful for when you're looking for seascape shots. The first one is to make sure you arrive early, and that's what I've done right now. Is I'm here well before sunset, plenty of time, and it allows me to scout out the location and have a look where different shots might be and try and find the best shot. Another tip is I carry a compass with me, and it's always a good idea to check the information on what the angle of degrees, what position the sun will be setting. And if we have a look at the compass, I know that the sun's going to be setting at 256 degrees. So if I set that to 256 degrees on here and then turn the compass until it's in the north mark here, I know exactly where the sun's going to set. Now it's quite clear obviously where the sun is at the moment, but when I was here earlier, the sun was further around when I was scouting this location out. So having a compass and knowing the angle of degrees that the sun will be setting is a really useful tool for figuring out what position you're going to need to be in for your seascape shot. Anyway, I'm going to carry on looking for some shots, figuring out what I want while I'm waiting for the light to drop down to the right level for the shot. And then I'll talk to you about a few other tips in a little while. Trying to find an angle that will make a good shot. Okay, I've got one shot in mind here which I want to get before the sun actually sets completely. I'm just going to put the camera down. I need to get down at a low angle, and this particular tripod has the ability to detach the central column, and that's really useful because with the central column there at the moment I wouldn't be able to get the tripod low enough because the legs won't spread out without this bit hitting the rocks. So I can take that central column out and I can just put the head part of the column back in and tighten that up, and then that allows me to get these tripod legs right out like this, nice and wide, and allows me to get the camera in nice and low, which is exactly what I want for this shot. So that's another little tip for you for seascapes. Now something else I'm going to show you in a second is I'm getting this puddle in the foreground and then the sun in the distance setting and the light coming off the rocks. But the rocks here are dry, and that means they're not going to reflect as much light. They're not nice and glossy how I like the rocks. So I'm going to show you a little tip on how we fix that in a minute. I've also got polarizing filter on here. You've seen me use the polarizing filter many times, usually in conjunction with a graduated neutral density filter. Here at the moment I've just got the polarizer on because I want to take off some of the surface reflection off of this puddle. because at the moment the way the light is, all I've got is a sheen of light from the sky off the surface of the puddle looking this way. By using the polarizer, I can take some of that surface sheen away, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So it allows me to see a little bit of detail into the puddle. And by rotating the filter, I can decrease the surface sheen off the water or bring it back again, so I can find that happy medium. Okay, so these rocks here, as I mentioned, are dry, and I want to get a little bit more excitement of the light bouncing off of those rocks. So I've brought a bucket with me, and I'm just simply going to go and grab myself some seawater. Like so. And then, it's a little bit of cheating, I know, but it'll just allow me to wet those rocks down and get a nice surface gloss and some nice coloured light from the setting sun, and that gold light from the setting sun glancing off of those rocks. Need to do it 1 or 2 times or a few times just to get enough water in there. I've got to hurry up because the light is already starting to fade. Okay, I think that's going to do me. Actually, there's another patch there. I'm just going to get that as well. Fantastic. And now by doing that, I've got that extra glint of light off of those rocks where I need it. And finally, cable release. I'm working at slow shutter speeds because of the polarizing filter and the fact that I'm using a low ISO setting, and also the large depth of field I need from the foreground through to the horizon means I'm working at a small aperture, and that means my shutter speed is right down. So now, by using the cable release, I'm making sure that camera is steady on that long shutter speed. If you don't have a cable release, another tip is set your self-timer to your 2-second self-timer mode or 10-second. Press the button gently, shake should have gone by the time it takes a shot. 2 seconds is usually a little easier to work with because you don't have to wait so long. Now, the problem with this shot in terms of a neutral density graduated filter, which you see me use a lot, is that in this instance the graduated filter won't work very well because the angle of my horizon and the rocks sticking out left and right. So I'm actually taking several different exposures in this one. So I've got an exposure for the sky and an exposure for the foreground, and then I can merge the 2 exposures together in Photoshop afterwards. So we've got some lovely light coming in there now. And one final tip is that usually when I'm finished photography, it's getting quite dark because sometimes I'm taking the pictures well after sunset. And when you're out here on these slippery rocks, it's really important that you've got some illumination or a torch. And I find these little head torches work fantastically. They're really bright, these little LED torches. Pop that on your head and you've got a great torch for seeing your camera, seeing what you're doing, and keeping your hands free when you're packing up all your gear and on your way home. My passion is photography. Whether shooting for clients or teaching students, the excitement of great photography never gets old. Check out my website for free training, a complete range of courses, and even photography workshops. Thank you for watching.